Hello, welcome to the stream. This is Farrell Swim Tech. My name is John Farrell. This is the live stream where I take my 15 years of competition experience and 12, almost 13 years of private coaching experience to help you get faster in the water. So today's topic is going to be breathing. So for the past couple of weeks, we've gone through kind of more of the body positioning segment because your legs and overall body positioning are two of the major components of what are keeping you level on the water. So the next logical step in terms of helping you get better at swimming is figuring out how to breathe easier. So we're going to go over mechanics and we're going to go over theory. We're going to start with the theory. So I kind of design the show order of these broadcasts in order to help you develop a methodology of getting faster at swimming and front loading the items that are the most critical. So then when we get to things such as pull, such as recovery, recovery as in recovering the arm over the water, and when we start getting into racing stuffs, you've had more time to work on the kick. You've had more time to work on the body positioning. Breathing is one of the biggest items, in my opinion, that you really need to get a jump start on, because breathing is legitimately one of the main differences between seasoned swimmers and beginner swimmers. Because when you really think about it, let's just get down to what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the comfort and the ability to continuously breathe out and breathe in while swimming. Okay? Now, some of you may be thinking, well, duh. I mean, isn't that what we need to do? We need to be able to breathe while we swim. Yes. But there's a lot more that goes into this. A lot more that goes into this in terms of the psychology of this. Because we need to understand we're not used to putting our face in an environment where we can't breathe in. Living our day-to-day lives, whenever we do things, we're usually out of the water. Even when we do most water sports, surfing, paddleboarding, wake surfing, even recreational swimming, the majority of the time your face is out of the water. You're chatting with friends, you're dinking around in your pool, you're playing with your kids in the pool. You're not putting your face in the water swimming laps back and forth. Truth be told, that's what most of us, competitive swimmers wind up doing in a pool. Unless there's a ball, I don't really know what to do in a pool. So in terms of playing around in a pool, 1 second. So what winds up happening is for most non-swimmers, when they get into the sport of triathlon, you now are forcing yourself to maintain your face in the water 5, 10, 20, 40, 60 minutes at a time, to where you're barely getting half of your face out of the water. That's radically different than how you've been living your life. So we need to become, and not only that, the rules are different between putting your face in the water and putting your face out of the water, where yes, you can exhale under the water, but you obviously can't inhale under the water. Yeah. Excuse me. So what happens is we need to start developing methodologies. We need to start, understanding the mentality of breathing while swimming. So let's start there. Let's start with the mentality with breathing. So remember, you can breathe out underwater. You can breathe in when your face is out of the water. Okay? We just need to keep that just start there. The nice and simple way to breathe. Always breathing out underwater, always breathing in when our face is out of the water. So I suggest, if you have issues breathing, okay? So let's now talk quickly about what these issues could be. Now, someone in the comments page, um, mentioned about something that I didn't really know about. So there's a team member that said, with regards to my post yesterday, because I'm the one that posts all the Ferroslim Tech previews, and a team member wrote, "This is great. I'm an asthmatic who has DNF'd a few times due to breathing issues. Someone told me it might be SIPE. This is where I'm stuck on what issue to tackle." And I had never heard of SIPE before. It's swimming-induced pulmonary edema, where basically what happens is the pressure of the water on your lungs and the wetsuit on your lungs, it winds up bursting the capillaries in your lungs, and that could really mess you up big time. And I'm reading this because this is just the Wikipedia page, so this is Dr. Wikipedia. It says it only occurs in 1 to 2%, 1.4% of triathletes. That's a relatively small number. And honestly, like I said, I have never heard of that before. So if you think it might be SIPE, please talk to a doctor. That I'm not going to get into that here. I'm just saying that's a thing. But according to Wikipedia, 1.4% of triathletes is an astronomically low level. So I think on average, you probably don't need to worry about that. And it's a lot more of your actual mechanics. And this is specifically for team member Misty that posted this. Like I said, if you really think it's that, please go talk to a doctor. I am not going to tell you, oh, don't worry about it, and then something bad happens. I'm not that guy. However, if you want to start in terms of, maybe it's my breathing, maybe it's the breathing mechanics, this is the show to watch. So where do most people get in trouble with breathing? Well, most people get in trouble with breathing for two reasons. Number one, they're not breathing enough. Now, you might be saying, oh, well, but I breathe every stroke. That's not what I'm talking about. Number two, your body is consuming far too much oxygen with the stroke itself that your inhaling cannot supply enough oxygen to meet the demand. So this is the whole idea where your body goes into anaerobic conditions to where your stroke is not an aerobic stroke, okay? So aerobic versus anaerobic, obviously aerobic is where, this is your zone 2, zone 2, absolute low zone 3 can also be considered aerobic. But typically your zone 2, where your oxygen intake and your oxygen your oxygen intake and your oxygen consumption within your muscles is basically in homeostasis, to where, or your oxygen consumption within your body is less than what you're able to take in. So you're able to go much longer because your body is not producing enough lactic acid in order to overwhelm your system. So how can you get into anaerobic mode? Well, you go in anaerobic mode when you start moving your body and producing lactic acid, increasing your heart rate, and then your intake of oxygen cannot overcome that. So like I said, that also can be an item number one, where your oxygen intake is not good enough. So let's tackle that oxygen intake first. So a common problem that I see with my with people that send me videos is that they tend to breathe out and in when they rotate their head to the side. 100% we want to avoid this. So basically, we want to breathe out underwater, breathe in when our face is out, out, in, All right. So what this does is this creates a very normalized breathing pattern for us. When we're on the bike, we go out, in. Same with the run, and typically what we do is we sync up our breathing somewhat with our stroke cadence, with our stride cadence, and that just overall gives us a nice rhythm to breathe with. And then when we swim, we develop breathing patterns. We'll talk about breathing patterns later in the stream. But what we want to do is we want to have this nice normalized breathing pattern. When we try and exhale and inhale while our face is out of the water, we wind up getting a situation. It's basically hyperventilation. Okay, you're forcing yourself into a state of hyperventilation where you're not really getting the air out and you're not really bringing the air in. You have very short breaths in and out. Absolutely not doing what you want it to do. You want nice long. All right. So if we go, so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a video. No, wrong button, that button, and analysis scene. So I'm going to show you my normal swim. So this is how I look like when I'm swimming at a normal pace. Out, in, out, in. Okay? So nice, relaxed, breathing in when my face is to the side. I'd probably would say that you're not going to be able to see me on the other side. But I would say I'm probably breathing just a hair late in terms of actual mechanics, but I've kind of gotten a little bit lazier. my skills are not as fine-tuned as they used to be, as I say. But basically you're breathing out. So I'm breathing every 4 strokes in this. So this is what I like to do when I'm more relaxed. Because I know that every 4 strokes is really comfortable for me. Oh, excuse me. Oh yeah, there's my play button. So just nice and relaxed breathing. That is basically how we're going to want to go here. Let me back this up just a little bit. Nope, not enough. Okay, so basically this is how you want to be while you're swimming, okay? Face to the side, nice breath, water is coming down due to hydraulics, okay? I would say probably my mouth is a little bit too far out of the water, but that's just me nitpicking myself. So basically, when we breathe, we want to have our face nice and relaxed on the side. We want to take a nice long breath inward. So what do we do in order to start working on this? Well, what you want to do is you want to spend time breathing, especially if you know that you hold your breath underwater and then you breathe out and in when your face is to the side. You need to spend time training yourself to be able to breathe out underwater. Not only breathe out, but fully breathe out underwater. So this is what I recommend you do. This is going to be your first drill. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your pool. Highly recommended you do this in the shallow end. If you wind up having a pool that's, it's a water polo pool where it's all 7 foot deep, just hang out on the side. Just hold on the side of the pool. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put your face in the water and you want to breathe everything out, okay? So you're going to breathe out all of your air and you do this on land first. We just go, okay? Completely deplete your lungs. And then what I want you to do is I want you to count and see how long you can go like that before you have to take a breath. So in other words, Okay. I'd see if you can get to 10 seconds. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your pool. You're going to breathe. You're going to put your face underwater. Breathe out all that air. Stay under for an extra 10 seconds. Then come back up. Take a nice breath. Take a couple breaths. Then you're going to go back under and push all that air out again. So what we're doing is we're training our mind to say it is okay to push the air out under the water. And even when I have pushed the air out, I'm still able to function. I'm okay. I have enough oxygen in my body to last 10 full seconds. Okay? I mean, as far as I understand, most of us are not as fantastical as Guybrush Threepwood, and we can hold our breath for 10 minutes underwater. If anyone knows that reference, you're a fantastic person. Yes, random, oh my gosh, what's the word am I using? I don't even know. Anyway, back to breathing. So, references, that's the word I'm looking for. So anyway, so we want to get our brain okay with the idea of breathing out underwater. And actually what's kind of fun to do is if you breathe out underwater, you're going to deflate your lungs, so then you should be able to sink underwater. What's fun is just kind of sitting at the bottom of the pool, seeing how long you can sit at the bottom of the pool. Please do this in the shallow end. True story. There was my swim coach at BYU. He said that there was one day they were meeting in the underwater room. Because there used to be this small weight room down in a basement area of our pool building, and they had a big window into the pool, so people could watch. So coaches could watch swimmers and analyze stuff like that under the water. Obviously this is way before underwater cameras became popular, so they would just build these rooms underground. With a big window where a pool is, so then they could actually view what's going on. We've had to design windows like that for pools. Oh, that is not fun. But anyway, so they were having a team meeting down there, and then there was this guy, just this random yahoo, sitting at the bottom of the dive tank. So then coach just kind of looks over at him, blah, 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 looks over. Okay, guys, can you go rescue that guy? He literally stayed under long enough. He wound up blacking out, so they had to dive down and grab the guy from the bottom of the pool. So two swimmers hopped in, went down, grabbed him, popped out of the 12-foot pool. Had to revive the poor idiot. Yeah, please don't do that. Just don't do that, okay? Please be sensible with underwater breath training, okay? Just remember, what we're doing here is we're not seeing how long we can stay underneath the water. This is more of training our brain to be okay with being underwater, okay? Because this is going to go into push-offs and streamlines, which is a huge help for your training. Has zero practical racing, underwater streamlines. They don't matter for actual racing 90% of the time unless you do pool triathlons, which honestly that's most of what I do. So having a good underwater actually is a really great benefit if you do a pool-based swim for a triathlon race. Open water, not so much. Unless you're in surf and then you can duck dive under the waves and be a pro and get out of that surf like a champ. Oh, excuse me. So, okay. So once we've become accustomed to breathing out underwater, now it's the time to actually start implementing it. So how do we implement this? Well, first thing that we want to do is we want to start taking things nice and slow, all right? This is where having a snorkel will really help. So what we want to do is we want to be able to put our face in the water, breathe out fully, and breathe in fully, okay? So you can use the snorkel when you're doing this. So you're going to use the snorkel. You're going to start kicking with a kickboard. I recommend kicking with a kickboard in a streamlined position. So therefore, you're not really worrying about your arms. You're not worrying about your legs. But what you want to do is you want to be actively moving in the water You could even put fins on to do this. If your kick's not that great, throw the fins on. This is more of a breath training exercise, so I don't really care if you use fins on this one. So you're going to hold the kickboard, put your face in the water, and all you're doing is breathing normally. In, out, in, out. Because realistically, you're going to breathe out through your nose a little bit. You're going to breathe out through your mouth a little bit. When you breathe in, only breathe in through your mouth. Do not breathe in through your nose. That is only inviting disaster, okay? Get very, very comfortable only breathing in and only breathing out, mostly breathing out through your mouth. If you want to breathe out through your nose, knock yourself out. I don't do it. I breathe out through my mouth. So just get comfortable breathing in through your mouth and use the snorkel to do this. Just do a couple 25s during your warm up if you can use your snorkel. So get really comfortable breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. So then we want to start matching that with our stroke. So now, how do we do this mechanically? So now we've talked about breathing theory, in terms of breathing in, breathing out, what's kind of the best practices. Now we're going to talk about, yawn attack. So now we're going to talk about actual stroke mechanics. And always remember, if you want me to review your stroke, feralswimtech@gmail.com. Just remember, this is a free service I offer to any and all Team Zoot. So if you are new to the team, if you know someone who is new to the team, make sure that they know about this. I do free stroke technique reviews. This is donation driven. I don't expect to do it purely for free. However, you don't have to pay me to review your stroke. I really appreciate the donations, and it's a pay what you want thing. I tell you, you can pay whatever you want, whatever you feel comfortable paying. That's fantastic. This is something I want to do, and I want it to fit your budget. So whatever you can donate is great. But I work with your stroke. You send me video, I analyze it, I break it down, I set up something that looks basically exactly like this. And then I will break down the stroke video and give you three key items to start working on in order to really get your stroke to the next level. So if you like this content, check me out on Instagram, feralswimtech on Instagram. I'm still really terrible at continuously posting videos. I apologize. YouTube and Rumble at @feralswimtech are where the repository of all my videos are. So yeah. So that's the meat stuff. So basically with breathing mechanics, one thing I totally forgot to grab my my link real quick. Hold on. Give me 1 second here. So, also, if you live in the Southern California area, I do one-on-one lessons. I'm based out of Glendora, California. So if you live in that area, Orange County, LA County, Southern Ventura County, Western San Bernardino County, Northern San Diego County. If you can get to Glendora, I'd love to do a swim lesson with you. If you can't get to Glendora, still send me an email, feralswimtech@gmail.com. I can come to you. It's going to be more expensive. I gotta factor travel into it. But we can work something out. So if you want me to work with you on your stroke technique, just give me a holler, feralswimtech@gmail.com. Check the link tree. I have a website where you can book a lesson with me, typically 5 to 7 o'clock or 5:30 to 7 o'clock on most weekdays or when I do lessons. So, yes. And also remember, I am piloting a virtual stroke, a virtual coaching for this next year. You'll get personalized workouts. You'll get stroke technique reviews and one-on-one chats with me. If you're interested, feralswimtech@gmail.com. We'll talk about the details. I only have 2 openings for this. 2 slots available just because I don't know how this is going to go. And hey, you know what? This may only last a month, but I will do everything I can to give you quality coaching for an entire month. And I do it for much, much, much cheaper than other websites. So, yeah. So if you want to take a gamble, feralswimtech@gmail.com. You feeling lucky, kid? All right. So anyway, let's get into the mechanics of the stroke technique of the breathing. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through and we're going to analyze, what I am doing here. Hold on. Where the playback? There you go. Playback speed slower and slower. Okay. So we're going to get, so now there you go. So what you're going to see here is so I typically breathe to my right. I do sometimes bilateral breathe, or us swimmers used to call it breathing every other, which we'll get into that in a little bit, okay? Spoiler alert, it is not required to bilateral breathe. So I typically breathe to my right. So my left arm is going to be initiating the recovery phase. So then as my left arm is finishing the recovery phase, my left arm is going to extend forward, and I'm going to roll onto my left side. Because right here, you see that? So as my left arm is extending forward, my face is starting to come out of the water. So what we want to do is we want to breathe through the extension. And this is one of the places where most that I work with get it wrong. Where we want to extend the arm to breathe. What I see is people extend the arm, push down, and breathe. Okay? So number 1, terrible for the stroke mechanic. We never want to push down with a full arm. We'll get into this a lot more with the pulling episode. But basically, we want to reach and rotate. So the idea is reach to breathe. We want to reach to breathe. Reach to breathe, not push to breathe. Okay? So you see the difference between that? Reach is when we're here. Essentially, we're reaching up to the sky in order to breathe. The other method, which is not good, which is push to breathe. Because as you push down on that shoulder, that's then rotating it over to the side. We want to avoid that as much as possible. We do not want to have our hand at the bottom of the pool and we're taking our breath. Because one thing that you'll notice here is as you push down, when that hand is pointing straight to the bottom of the pool, you're now finally taking your breath. As opposed to here, you take your breath, and as I'm grabbing and pushing through, this allows you much more time to take the breath and finish the inhale portion rather than here down, okay? So you're starting your breath way late if you're pushing your arm down in order to rotate on your side. That's basically what we're talking about here. So then, analysis. So as I'm reaching forward, I'm now taking my breath. I've initiated the pull. I'm a quarter through the recovery. So then as the arm comes over, the shoulders will even out, and then the face goes back in the water. Okay? So couple different areas where most people mechanically get in trouble with breathing. All right? The snap movements of your head. Don't do that, please. That's it. That's just a recipe for disaster. You're making yourself dizzy on purpose without any real positive consequences. One second. So what's happening is we don't want to have we don't want to use our neck to breathe, okay? Here's a really good exercise for this. What you do is you take your arms, bring your hands right here, elbows to the side, fingers pointing up, touch your chin. So now what you want to do is you want to rotate. You want to rotate your upper body, keeping that chin in the same exact spot, okay? So you can see my chair swiveling a little bit, but basically I'm trying to rotate my chest without rotating my face, okay? So we don't want to go here. You see that there's an extra neck extension there? So I'm rotating and then rotating the neck. We don't want to do this. We want to keep our head in line with our body as much as humanly possible, okay? So for those of you that find that you are short of breath, you feel that you're dizzy, check your head positioning. I can almost guarantee you your head positioning is wobbling around all over the place. So one thing that you'll notice with my stroke is that I'm going to take my breath and then I'm going to snap it back into position. Head doesn't move. No head movements while you're swimming. There is no rocking back and forth with the head position. So I take the breath, I rotate the shoulders. So my left shoulder is dipping down, my right shoulder's coming up, and I'm taking the breath, and then everything is rotating back. I think my head is snapping a little bit here, but like I said, I'm being pretty lazy. So as it comes over, here, you should be able to see it on the backside. Yep, I'm okay. So I'm gonna take a breath here, take a breath down. Okay, so as that arm comes back over, so the arm is here, back over. Okay, so as I finish it, my head follows the shoulder down into the water. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to time the breath with the arm out of the water. So when our arm gets out of the water, our face is out of the water. As we recover, that shoulder comes down and the face comes back in the water. So what I like to envision is, number one, when you're swimming, your shoulders are swiveling around your neck, okay? See how my face is still looking straight into the camera and my shoulders are rotating. So we're going to swim, 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 okay? So now I want to take my breath to my right. So as I come here, okay, I'm about halfway through the pool, my head and my shoulders are going to lock in sync. So then I'm going to rotate, take my breath, come back over. I'm about halfway through, shoulders unlock. And then I'm going to keep swimming. And then I'm going to take my breath, shoulders lock with the neck, roll, take the breath, come back over, unlock, face nice and steady in the pool. So basically we want to lock our head in with our shoulders as we rotate to the side. Okay? So this is going to take some time. Side to side drill is really good to work on this, because what you're doing is you're essentially locking your head in with your shoulders, rotating to the side, taking a couple nice solid breaths, and then as you pull, you're going to keep that head locked in with your shoulders, roll onto the other side. So for those of you that are wanting to drill this, side to side drill is really, really, really good for this. If you scroll really far down in the videos, here on the Facebook page, you'll find all my drill videos that I did earlier this year. Basically, I should have had my, here. You know what? I'll add the drill videos in the comments a little bit later today. the appropriate drill videos. I'm going to add those in the comments, so you'll be able to go check those out, check out the drill videos, and be able to know what to do when I talk about these drills. So locking the head in with the shoulders when you breathe. Okay, so one other thing to note is that the stroke that you take with your breath and the stroke you take when you don't take a breath need to be the same stroke, just mirrored of each other. So that goes into the discussion of how often should you breathe. So now we've talked about the mechanics of the breath. Now the question is, how often do you breathe? As you saw in the video, that was over there. Excuse me. I breathe, when I'm really relaxed and I'm not swimming a very fast tempo, I'll typically breathe about every 4 strokes. Why is that? Well, I like to limit my head movement. I don't like to roll my head that much when I'm swimming. So I like to kind of keep a nice even keel when I swim, and I like to breathe every 4 strokes. Now, the whole thing is, I understand the concept. I understand the concept where people might be saying, "Hey, there's a person I kind of get into it on the Lionel Sanders Discord, where we've gotten into it in the past over breathing every stroke. So in other words, you pick one side every time your face is on the side, you take a breath, breathe down, breathe down, breathe down. Okay." That's the concept of breathing every stroke. It is not breathe, 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 breathe. Yeah, don't do that, please. You're going to kill yourself. You're going to hate everything. You're going to get so dizzy, it's going to get ridiculous. So typically I don't recommend, especially when you're training. When you're racing, hey, look, you got to do what you got to do. When you're training though, I highly recommend you breathe every 4 strokes or look into bilateral breathing. Look into bilateral breathing. Basically allow yourself to swim a couple strokes with your face in the water. What winds up happening is when people breathe every stroke, they wind up getting a severe stroke imbalance. In other words, their right arm and their left arm are not doing the same thing. Just like I showed earlier with the long straight arm stroke, the right arm might actually be pulling with a bent elbow, but the left arm typically pulls straight down with the arm. So what winds up happening is there's a massive imbalance with the stroke, and that causes a lot of problems down the road. Also, you wind up turning a little bit when you swim because you're basically like a kayak, and one paddle is pulling much harder. One side is pulling much harder than the other. That turns the kayak. So if you have a lot of problems staying straight during a race, I mean, all of us do. I have problems staying straight during the race. But if you find yourself like legitimately careening into the lane lines when you're swimming for no reason at all, you have a stroke imbalance. Your right arm and your left arm are not pulling the same weight the entirety of the time. So you need to spend some time and get your stroke fixed, number 1. Number 2, let's talk about breathing patterns. Excuse me. So typically, I would probably say the most common breath pattern is breathing every stroke. So like I said, pick a side, breathe every time you rotate to that side. Breathe down, breathe down, breathe down. Breathing every 3 strokes is called bilateral breathing. So let's talk about that for a quick second. So bilateral breathing is breathing to either side. Breathe, 2, 3, breathe, 2, 3, breathe, 2, 3, breathe, 2, 3. I actually am a huge fan of bilateral breathing. It is not required to be a good swimmer. You do not need to breathe to your non-dominant side to be a good swimmer. Doesn't have to happen. It's helpful. It's nice. It's a great thing to have in your toolkit, especially if you know the buoys are going to be on your left side. It's not a bad idea to be able to take a breath to the opposite side. Not a bad idea. Not required. So if you can't do it, you hate doing it, don't worry about it. It's just nice to have. A couple benefits of bilateral breathing are, number 1, it evens out the neck tension on your neck. Some of you may have found that when you breathe too much, your neck, like right back here, just tenses up like no other, and you get like a neck cramp. Been there, done that. Got the t-shirt. So yeah, no, there'd be so many practices when I was up at BYU where if I wasn't careful in how I was breathing during 8,000-9,000 yard workouts within 2 hours, yeah, that's what I used to could do. My neck would cramp so bad. I would literally have to breathe to the other side. I'd have to breathe to my opposite side in order to get it, in order to abate it. It was terrible. So yes, if you've had neck cramps, I 100% sympathize with you. You are going to get no chuckle buttons out of me. I'm not going to laugh at you. It's real. It happens and it hurts. So usually that's because you're trying to rotate your neck while you breathe. So work on your head positioning when you breathe. Work on integrating that into the shoulder roll. That's really going to help you out. Sorry. So breathe. So bilateral breathing not required. It is helpful and beneficial. So it's not a waste of time to learn it. I'm just saying that is not a priority at all. So if you're working on breathing, you are working on breathing to one side. And then after you fix a bunch of stuff with your stroke, then you can start adding bilateral breathing into your toolkit. Like I said, it's just an extra tool. It's not a requirement at all. So then you can breathe every 4 strokes, which is what I was doing in the video earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually breathing every 4 is probably the most that I would go. There's been a lot of debate in the swimming world with regards to hypoxic work. Essentially training yourself to go longer without taking breaths. There's a lot of new arguments that are made against hypoxic training. I'm not going to get into that. Typically, though, for most training, about four strokes per breath is really going to be about what you need to do. I highly recommend you start training. Oh, crap. Oh, excuse me. Curse these yawn attacks. I even went to bed early last night. God darn it. So breathing every 4 strokes is going to be about the most you want to space out your breathing. And it's really good, especially when you're working on pulling technique, to where it allows you a couple strokes in the water to get a couple good pulls in, then you're taking your breath. The other thing with breathing every stroke is that, you can really make yourself dizzy. Just, if you're not disciplined with your head, you're going to wind up creating too many movements with your head, and that's just going to induce dizziness, which is no bueno. I have had a legitimate bout of vertigo when I was open water swimming once. I had to rotate onto my back. I just rotated onto my back and floated, and that's what I did. So another idea is kind of doing a hybrid. And this is typically what I do during races. So I use an 8 count overall. I'll take 4 strokes, breathing every stroke, and then skip, and then do a breathing every 4. So it basically goes like this. Breathe down, breathe down. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what that does is that gives you 3 breaths and then 1 4 count to keep your face in the water. Okay, then you're just going to skip a breath and then go back into it on the 8. So the reason why I like this, and I've done this a lot during competitions, this basically allows you to get a couple breaths and then allows you to just put your head down and get a couple strokes in. So I really, really prefer doing this. I have found when I breathe every stroke, it just throws my whole balance off. I don't like it. So this allows me to stay centered for a couple strokes and really, really get some good solid strokes in. So that's a really good idea. If you want to kind of upgrade from this breathing every stroke into possibly breathing every 4 strokes. Usually when I race, I typically start out breathing every 3 strokes. Probably for, about the first quarter of the race. Then I know that I need to start taking in more oxygen, when I'm swimming. So then that's when I'll shift over to the 8 count. Oh man. I really do wish I had time in the afternoon to do this stream. I probably would still yawn. But anyway, so then you want to transition to the 8 count, and then you want to transition into the 4 count, while you're training. Okay, so let's kind of go over breathing issues that you might have. So I kind of touched on that whole SIPM thing. Like I said, that's something that might happen, but according to Wikipedia, it's about 1.4% of triathletes. So that is a very, very, very low amount of triathletes that would affect. So if you find yourself having major breathing issues when you're swimming, kind of so I've now armed you with basically all the facts, all the ideas, all the techniques and stuff. What is the triage or what's the diagnosis steps for figuring out how to fix your breathing problems? Number 1, first and foremost, work on breathing in and breathing out constantly, continuously while you're swimming, okay? Breathe out underwater, breathe in when you're out of the water, and see if that fixes your problem. Number 2, review your stroke, because I can almost guarantee you probably I'd say about 80% of you that are getting winded after a 50. And I've talked to people that say, man, I get winded after a 50, I get winded after 100. 2 things are happening. Number 1, your body is consuming way too much oxygen. More than likely, the culprit are your legs. Your legs are moving a mile a minute, and you are getting nothing out of them. So what's happening is your legs are churning up your oxygen supply unnecessarily. Okay, your legs are a huge oxygen drain on your entire system. Work on the legs. Okay, check out the kicking videos. Work on the legs. Get those legs way more efficient. They don't have to be strong. You don't need to kick 100 within a minute 30, which is something I can do. You don't need to kick a minute 30 for hundreds. What you need to do is you need to have your legs not be a liability, okay? If you're slower than 2 minutes per 100, all your legs need to do is just a nice, gentle kick, and you need to be able to move the legs without burning up your oxygen supply, okay? So that's number 1. Number 2, when you breathe, are you fully breathing, okay? Double check that you're reaching to breathe and then putting your face back in the water, okay? When your face goes in the water, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, okay? Check to see if you're pushing to breathe, to where if you're pushing down to the ground in order to rotate your face to the side. You want to reach to breathe. So then the final thing is just check your, I guess, excitement levels, your anxiety levels while you're swimming might be the more appropriate term. Just kind of see if psychologically you're causing yourself to kind of, you're not comfortable in the water. Now, water comfort is everything, okay? Now, usually I kind of talk about this in a full episode, but I'll kind of tack a shortened version of this. Swimming is no joke, okay? Swimming is an activity that can be very lethal. And I'm not gonna discount that. And I'm not gonna say, oh well, you're just gonna be in the water longer. No, there's perfectly good people that drown. Perfectly competent swimmers that drown. Something happens, things go wrong, you drown. So it is a scary proposition to keep your face in the water and just barely pop your mouth out to take a breath. It's a scary proposition. You need to spend time in water becoming accustomed to this. And unfortunately, this is where just spending more time in the water. If the more you can get to the pool every week, the more you can condition your brain to say, this is normal. This is fine. I'm okay. I'm in no danger. I'm in a pool. I'm in a controlled environment. I'm okay. Like, I remember the first time I did an open water event was when I did Malibu back in 2019. I mentally freaked out a little bit, getting out 150 yards. I don't do that very often unless I'm tethered to a surfboard. I don't just go to the beach and swim out 150 yards away from the beach. I don't do that. I'm with a bodyboard, I'm with a surfboard, I'm with something attached to me that I'm just floating on, and I'm perfectly safe with that. I've never done that solo. Well, I have. I mean, I've done it before. I've done buoy swims before. But looking down into the dark green California ocean abyss, I freaked out a little bit, but I just kept swimming. I was like, oh, don't worry. This is just water. You're in a wetsuit. You can float. Okay? Number one, first and foremost, you need to understand if you're in open water, you're in a wetsuit, you can float. Okay? I don't care who you are. Because you want to know why? Because I can float in a wetsuit. If I could float in a wetsuit, you can float in a wetsuit. Okay? The wetsuit's buoyancy will allow you to float. Take some time. Next time you're at your open water swim place, I know for a lot of y'all, so when it's winter, you're not open water swimming right now. But the next time you get the chance, take a few minutes, float, roll on your back and float. Like I said before, I had a massive bout of vertigo once when I was doing an open water swim down at Long Beach, and I had to roll on my back. I rolled on my back. I put my my Zoot float buoy under my head, and I just kicked back. I just kicked back, closed my eyes, let my world settle down just a little bit, and then I just swam gentle breaststroke with my face out of the water the entire time back to shore. I mean, it was only like 50 yards. It wasn't much, but yeah, that's a real thing. That's a real thing that can happen. So your comfort in the water is going to be directly linked to how your body processes and uses oxygen. If your mind's racing a mile a minute, your heart's going to be racing a mile a minute. That's a recipe for disaster. So if you've ever DNF'd before because of the swim, and it's because you had a panic attack, that means you need to spend more time in the water. There is no other recipe. There is no dry land that's going to fix this. You need to spend more time. You need to find ways to block out whole weeks where you spend 1.5 hours in the water. I mean, shoot, even in your own pool, even in a hot tub, not like a hot tub, but like, maybe like a 95 degree hot tub, 90 to 95 degree hot tub. If it's in the winter where you are and you got a hot tub in the back, only have it be about 95 degrees. Don't have it be the 115 degrees where you're burning your skin off just because it feels good. Maybe just have it nice and warm. Maybe get it somewhere around 90 degrees and just spend time just being under the water and understanding I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. I mean, like I say, spend time sitting in the shallow end. In 3'6" of water, just sit down at the bottom of the pool, push your air out, sit down, just kind of look around and enjoy being underwater. There's no replacement for that. Comfort in the water is what really sets apart a lot of the more experienced swimmers from the non-experienced swimmers. Like you see me swimming in that, I am 1000% comfortable right there. That's my happy place. I've been doing this since I was in the 3rd grade. There's a huge comfort gap between me and a lot of y'alls that are getting into this sport. You gotta spend the time. You gotta become comfortable in the water. Unfortunately, that's not something I can teach you. I can give you tips. I can give you ideas. At the end of the day, it's up to you. So comfort in the water is directly linked to your oxygen consumption, because the more freaked out you are, the higher your heart rate's going to go, stuff like that. So then next is going to be, work on your stroke mechanics, so after you get the comfort, and it doesn't have to be after. Words are fantastic, kids. Doesn't have to be after you've become super comfortable. Because I tell you what, becoming super comfortable in the water, it's going to take a long time. Have that be a part of your workouts. Have that be a part of your training, is swim comfort, is water comfort. So then work on the stroke mechanics, work on reach to breathe, not push to breathe. So then after that, it's more of getting efficient with your stroke, to where when you swim, you're not inefficiently kicking your legs, you're not inefficiently breathing, everything's working together like a well-oiled machine, and then you're able to start pushing harder. Because at the end of the day, why does this whole breathing thing matter? The breathing thing matters because we need to be able to take in enough oxygen to mitigate the lactic acid development within our system, okay? On the bike, on the run, you're basically training your legs, you're training your body to be able to push harder. And then your breathing is basically kind of a constant thing. And I understand there are a lot of breathing techniques that you can employ. However, I would argue that breathing techniques in swimming are a lot harder to understand and develop, just because you're dealing with a completely different medium here. And if you screw up, you die. If you screw up breathing technique on a bike, you're going to snort. I don't know, something like that. But legitimately, you accidentally intake a lung full of water, that could be fatal. Not good, okay? So this is why we want to really focus in on breathing technique early, so then we have a good basis for training and being able to push ourselves harder. And it's absolutely critical to being able to push yourself harder. So that's basically all I got for today. So if you like what you see here, check out my Linktree. That's where all of my information is. Also want to pitch Dynamic Triathlete. This is something that won't necessarily help your breathing a lot. It'll help your mobility so you can reach and be able to breathe easier. Dynamic Triathlete is a app that allows you to that gives you great 20-minute daily stretching routines. There's also routines focused on different parts of your body. There's a hip routine, leg routine, back routine. They now have swimming warm-ups. So you got a good 5-minute stretching, dynamic stretching warm-up before you get in for the swim. These are really, really great. I use them for the run and the bike all the time. They really help my body get ready to go. So Dynamic Triathlete, they also have basic training plans. So if you're really, really new to a different distance of triathlon and you kind of want a good basic training plan, Dynamic Triathlete has those. And also, if you want to do private coaching with me, to where I give you workouts, I do request that I actually demand that as a part of this training, you get a subscription to Dynamic Triathlete, so you have a flexibility component added into your training. I guarantee you add flexibility components into your training, you're going to see a huge difference in your swim. So dynamictriathlete.com. Check the link in the description. Offer code SWIM, SWIM. That will give you 20%, or that will give you 10% off. So it winds up being $80 a year or $8 a month. So dynamictriathlete.com. So thank you, Team Zoot, for allowing me to commandeer this channel to talk about swimming. If you are a cyclist or a runner and you want to do what I do, feralswimtech@gmail.com. I can help you get set up. I know that there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of really in-depth knowledge about biking and running. And hey, look, nutrition, flexibility. Hey, you want yoga instructors? You want to do a yoga class here on Team Zoot? I bet you anything Mark would greenlight it. So yeah, I mean, if you have an idea for a live stream and you just be like, you know what, I can do that. I can do a live stream. Contact me, feralswimtech@gmail.com. I can get you all set up. I can teach you how to do this. It is really, really simple. Honestly, you can get started for probably about a $50 hardware investment. Or, you know what, shoot, you can even use your phone. You can do it from your phone. So if you want to get a setup like me, I can walk you through it. If you just want to use your phone, I can also walk you through it. I'm trying to, maybe in 2025, we bring on another live streamer or two to help Team Zoot with a little bit more weekly variety. So yeah, if you're interested in that, I haven't talked to Mark about this yet, so don't go talking to him. This is just between you and me, okay? So let's try and get some other Team Zoot members doing live streams to help other people get better at the sport that they love. I know nothing about cycling. I'd love to have a weekly stream about cycling. That'd be great. So anyway, feralswimtech@gmail.com. Any and all inquiries would greatly appreciate it. Hit that like button, and you should be already following here on Team Zoot. So keep training, everyone. 2025 is going to be a great race. Congratulations to everyone who raced Ironman La Quinta over the weekend. I know Mark and the Team Zoot crew were there running a booth. I was in La Quinta a couple weeks ago for the Alpha Tri Win Series. Did the Olympic distance there, won my age group, which was fantastic. And yeah, so that's going to be it for me. So until later, my friends, good night, Isaiah Norris. Wherever you are, I'm out of here. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.